We want to go ahead and bring in Deanna Barash with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast, a longtime friend. Deanna, you've been on so much this year because I feel like we'll have you on and then 2 days later, the whole world changes yet again. She's the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Assessment, and Instruction over at the West Bloomfield School District. So thank you for being with us. And I have to say, where do things stand now? Are the kids going to be coming back to school at all this year?
Well, I certainly thank you for having me again, Ronnie. Yes, I do feel like I've been on quite a bit, and it does change as soon as I'm here. Yes, our anticipation is that we will have students back in the building at some point in time in the future. Right now, currently, we're scheduled to bring students back in on January the 19th. So that is scheduled to be our first day back of in-person instruction. But certainly we know that we have to keep an eye on what's happening across the region, decisions that the health department may make, and certainly we're working in accordance with the Oakland County Health Department as well. And so we'll again review the data and have a recommendation to the Board of Education in January, and so on January 11th. So right now, yes, we anticipate welcoming our students back on the 19th.
It's like fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, we remind everyone that it is a fluid situation, as it literally has been since March the 13th. And so what we know today and what we hope is going to happen in January can very quickly change. And so yes, that is the goal right now. But fingers crossed, we're back on the 19th. It certainly could be extended if things don't get better. So we'll see what happens.
And Deanna, would that be all students, or would high school students still be remote?
High school is going to continue remote till the end of the semester, but I should talk about that schedule a little bit. So starting second semester, we will have the opportunity to have high school students come into the building to do some kind of in-person instruction every afternoon. So we're not going to require it. We still have students that are not comfortable coming back into the building, may have found that remote learning is the best thing ever for them and for their lives. But there will be opportunity for high school students to return to the building starting January 25th, which is the start of our second semester.
So I know we've talked about this over and over and over again, but if you're a parent or you're a student and you are struggling with this remote learning process, what are you doing to try to reach those students?
Well, this is pretty exciting. So this is actually quite timely, Ronnie. So we are sending out in the next day or so, probably in our next update, we have 2 opportunities for students to get help. One is in the evening via Zoom. So on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, starting after the first of the year, so starting with Tuesday, January 5th after break, we will have teachers, kindergarten through 12th grade, content specific. So if you need help in science at the high school, there'll be a science teacher from the high school available via Zoom for our students to drop in and get that support. So sometimes you get home and you finished your day of Zooming, or you've been in person, quite frankly, for hybrid, and you have a question. You just need, you're reviewing for a test and you just need to have a quick question. And there's not somebody there to ask that question, maybe in the same way it would have. So we're making our teachers available Tuesday and Thursday evenings for drop-in kind of tutoring sessions or check-in sessions. And so we're excited about that. And then the other thing that we're launching, which is really cool, is we're going to have on Wednesday afternoons, this will be really targeted students for intervention. So not open to everybody, but really looking at our kindergarten through 3rd graders that are really struggling in reading. We're calling it our mobile academic team. And so we will have buses at 5 locations across the district. And so kids in very small groups will be able to come in and actually have live instruction with the teacher on the school bus. And so rather than bringing them back into the building, we're not ready to do that. It will always exist on Wednesdays, which is our asynchronous day, and knowing that for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue in a hybrid model. And so Wednesdays will always be asynchronous. This is an opportunity for students who are really, really struggling that we've identified to come in, climb on the bus, get a little extra help with a live teacher on a day that they typically would be learning at home. And so we're pretty excited about that.
So I'm trying to think about how some of these conversations go to come up with these creative ways to try to reach the kids and, get them the help and the education that they need. And I'm thinking unions, if you would have proposed this before this COVID crisis, unions probably would have been like, no, No way. But do you think that is going to kind of strengthen the relationship with some of the unions and the teachers and the parents and the entire community when this is all said and done?
I think for sure. I think that we'll speak specifically about the actual labor union. Our relationship with our labor unions, our bargaining units, whether that's secretaries or paraeducators or teachers or custodian, all of those, we've come together and been just problem solvers. This has not been in West Bloomfield, we can't do that. That's not, it's too hard. It's any of those things. It's been, let's work together. Let's sit at the same table and let's come up with a solution. And I would say the same is true for our parents. We've had to make some really tough decisions. And, just a few weeks ago, we closed much earlier than everybody else and went back to remote learning much sooner than many of our counterparts. And we have built such a good kind of trusting relationship and open relationship and transparent with our community that they know what's happening. And so they weren't surprised and they're supportive because they know we're using data to make those decisions. And we want to make sure that we are doing the best thing we can for kids.
We're on the verge of a vaccine. Once the vaccine is approved and it starts to become more widely available, how do you think that vaccine is going to impact how you educate and how you teach? Will it go back to everyone in class, but you have to have a vaccine?
That's a real struggle. We don't require that now, right? So in Michigan, parents always have the opportunity to opt their children out of a vaccine if they so choose. And so they have to go to the health department and there's some protocols that have to be followed, but that's always a parental choice. So I'm not sure. Actually, we're just starting to get, this is going to be a hot button legal issue, whether for both students, for staff. And so we're really kind of going through some uncharted waters again around something that we'll have to tread very lightly and make sure that we consult our legal counsel and make the best decisions that we can. Do I think that school will ever look exactly the way school did pre-March 13th last year? I do not. I think that we have learned, I think our families have found that flexibility is important, that there are certainly some components of hybrid that our families really like and that our staff really likes. There's some things about remote learning only that our families and staff really like. So I think the face of education has changed for the foreseeable future.
Deanna Barash with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. She's the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Assessment, and Instruction for the West Bloomfield School District. I mean, we're even hearing, Ticketmaster is now announcing you're going to have a vaccine in order to go to a concert. So that is going to be a conversation that definitely continues, not just with our schools, but I think, for a lot of jobs and so many other areas into our world. With that, because you are focused on the curriculum, what do you think is going to change when it comes to the curriculum and what we teach the kids?
Sure. So I think what we've found is that less is more, right? So we've had to really narrow what we do and determine what is most important rather than just kind of trying to do everything. And so maybe rather than starting with chapter 1 and getting through chapter 15 over the course of the year, we now know we just need to pull out those things that are most important that are going to impact kids for the rest of their lives. And so that real world application, those things that are going to build, that are spiral, that continue to build over the course of their education, that's really what we're focused upon. It has been really, we're doing a Twitter challenge again. So anybody who follows us on Twitter follows me, and you can follow me on Twitter. We've asked our teachers to showcase, how are you engaging students remotely right now? What does that look like? You should see some of the awesome things that they're doing. And so I see that also coming back into the classroom. These strategies that we're doing at home while they're using their Chromebooks will come back into the classroom as well. So it really is changed drastically what we do every single day.
So we have focused a lot on the students during this crisis. How are your teachers holding up as well? I have a family member that is a teacher, and it's like they're working 24/7 because they may be in class for part of the day or at home. It's like their day has no end.
That is the truth. We are encouraging them to turn their computers off. We actually have a message that we've attached to our teacher email that we're encouraging them to use that says, after school hours, right? I'm not checking email. There has to be that ability to have that separation. We all know you're working from home, I'm working from home. It is very easy just to sit right here all day and evening and not ever kind of just step away and turn it off. And we know that that's not healthy. And so we encourage our teachers. We certainly ask our families to understand that if you email a teacher at 8 o'clock at night, you should not expect a response by 8:01. They too have families and need that ability to separate as well. I can't tell you how proud I am of the staff that we have in West Bloomfield. It has not mattered what we've asked them to do, what we've encouraged them to do. They go above and beyond every single day, and they've weathered this so well. And we're really very fortunate to have them here.
I wonder for some of them if it's hard for them, because before all of this happened, there were a lot of conversations about should teachers have contact with students outside of the classroom. And there was a lot of discussion around that. But this is a different world right now. How is that world working, and the conversations and about how much is too much communication? Is it inappropriate for a teacher to give out their cell phone?
Well, it's obviously it is a tough situation. So we really encourage them to use things like email, right, so that it is documented. When we Zoom with our students, it is recorded, and it's really for that piece of just safety for everyone. So if something were to happen, or quite honestly, I missed class that day and I need to be able to go back and see what I missed, the teacher can email a link to that Zoom lesson so that they're not behind as well. So it's not just about management and making sure people are protected. It's also just for kids who aren't absent and still having access to the curriculum. But yes, it is one of those. We use Remind. We actually use through our learning management system, Canvas. They can send broadcast messages where it goes to the parent's cell phone, it goes to the student's cell phone. We try to, as much as possible, we know that they give the students their cell phone numbers if they feel like that's the best way to communicate. But obviously, we would prefer that they keep it within the district. It's just easier for everyone.
So many tough conversations to have that you wouldn't have had prior to this time. Just a couple more minutes here with you on the Oakland County MegaCast. Of course, we have to ask you because we are focused in the Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake area. So many people love Roosevelt Elementary, and the conversation now that it could possibly close. I don't know if you're really in a position to even answer that question or not, but so many people in my neighborhood, their kids go there. My phone's been ringing off the hook. What do you want the parents to know, if you're even in a position to answer that?
I would say that I would encourage them to look at the presentation that was done both last evening, and then we have an additional presentation that will be posted on the website. If it's not there yet, it will be today. And to take the survey, to give their feedback via the survey that's available to anybody in the community. So we actually want you to watch the presentation first, so you understand the context of the conversation before you complete the survey, because we're trying to separate emotion from really what we're seeing in that presentation around enrollment. And so making sure that they watch both and then complete the survey. And then certainly we have a board study session on Monday evening. There is no action that's going to be taken Monday night. The board is just having consideration. This is just conversation at this point in time. So there is no action being taken Monday evening. It is an opportunity for the board to have really have all that stakeholder feedback presented to them, to have the opportunity as a Board of Education to hear from the public, but also as an entity to discuss it among themselves. Obviously, that's where that conversation needs to take place. And so they're seeing data for the first time from our stakeholders. They're looking at our enrollment trends and the demographic data that we have. It really is a conversation about what is the next best step for the district. And so there will not be action taken Monday evening, but really dialogue and discourse about the next steps for West Bloomfield schools.
So just about another minute here with you on the Oakland County MegaCast. With that, so many school districts right now are losing students because of this remote learning. Are you worried, or are you and the leadership team anticipating you're going to lose students? Because that's really where your budget comes from.
Correct. We've been very fortunate so far this year that our enrollment has been stable from last year, so almost unchanged from last year, which I think says a lot about the quality of the education we were able to to deliver and to continue to deliver this year, whether we're remote or hybrid. And so that says a lot about our teachers and the work that they've done and the support of our community. What we really face, Ronnie, is what everybody in Oakland County is facing. That's why we have declining enrollment. Is it's declining birth rates. There just aren't children. And so when you talk about millennials who aren't having children or who are not staying in the Metro Detroit area, we are facing as a county, as a state, just a decline in birth rate, just a decline in the number of children, period. And so that's what's precipitating many of these conversations. There just aren't kids.
And so again, though, that survey is open to anyone in the public. You don't have to have kids that attend West Bloomfield.
That is correct. Yes, it's on our website, and we encourage people to watch the presentation and then give their feedback.
Well, Deanna, it's always great having you with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. You always clarify and clear up so many questions and issues so many people have. So it's great to have you with us here on the MegaCast.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thanks for having me again.